Why does Japan seem so obsessed with dividing everything into smaller categories, from garbage sorting to matchmaking standards, to products designed for the smallest possible niche? Some people call this craftsmanship. But what if there's another reason? Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. Starting from this episode, I'll be experimenting with presenting the content through animation. And this time, once again, we begin in Japan. Today I'd like to think through a question together with you. Why does Japan seem so obsessed with dividing everything into finer and finer categories? Have you ever noticed this? In Japan, categorization can reach almost unbelievable levels. Trash can be sorted into more than 20 different types. Matchmaking might consider blood type, height, even the shape of your nose. Even constipation medicine can be divided into love stress type and work stress type. Sometimes it feels like anything can be split into yet another category. But the real question is, why do people naturally have that many different needs? Or over time have people actually been trained by the system itself to believe they do? The most common explanation is simple. Craftsmanship. Japanese culture values precision, seriousness, attention to detail. Even the smallest task is treated as a form of discipline. And honestly, that explanation sounds reasonable. But if that's the case, does that mean everything can be endlessly subdivided and optimized? For example, imagine the next product innovation, men's underwear designed around the body's natural layout, left, right, or center. Alright, just kidding. But if we look more carefully, some examples of subdivision go far beyond what craftsmanship alone can explain. Take pet funerals, for example. Let's not debate whether pets need funerals. Just look at the level of detail. How many kinds of pets are there? Should it be burial or cremation? What size should the coffin be? What material? Is it individual cremation or group cremation? How many types of urns are available? Should there be a host? Should prayers be played from a recording or should an actual monk be invited? Even the length of the chanting can come in multiple packages. So the question appears again, if craftsmanship can't fully explain this, maybe it's related to Japan's lifetime employment system, a system where someone may stay in the same position for decades, refining a very specific role, or maybe historically the government encouraged this kind of specialization. All of these explanations might play a role, but perhaps they still aren't enough. Let's imagine something. If you lived in a place with very limited land and resources, how would you make sure as many people as possible could share those resources? One obvious answer is make the cake bigger, but there is an even simpler solution. Cut the cake into smaller pieces. The cake itself is only so big. The more finely it is divided, the more people can receive a slice. From one perspective, this might also explain something interesting. Why Japan's wealth gap has remained relatively small compared to many other developed countries. But what happens when the cake doesn't grow fast enough to keep up with population growth? Historically, some countries looked for more resources beyond their borders. Japan once took a similar path, but when that didn't work out, society still had to find a way to survive. One approach is looking for opportunities overseas, buying or leasing land in other countries. Another possibility is that population growth could slow naturally over time. Meanwhile, more and more niche markets begin to emerge through finer and finer specialization. Competition becomes easier to manage. In this type of system, almost everyone can find a place. Even if that place is small, it is at least stable. And when people live long enough inside such a highly organized system, something subtle begins to change. Rules are no longer just external constraints. People begin to follow them voluntarily. Sometimes they even begin to depend on them. Because rules create a feeling of order, a feeling that this is where I belong. So perhaps this culture of subdivision is not just a habit. It may actually function as a social self-defense mechanism, a way of trading structural stability for collective security, which brings us to another question. In today's world, as technological growth slows and global inequality continues to widen, how long can a system that relies so heavily on structural stability continue to last? We usually don't judge a country the same way we judge an individual, but countries are run by governments, and governments are made of people. which means the behavior of a state can still reflect a certain side of human nature. And to be fair, despite its problems today, Japan remains one of the most developed societies in Asia. Many other countries are dealing with even more serious structural challenges. So maybe the real question is this: when resources are limited and competition becomes intense, how should a society divide the cake? Should it make the cake bigger? Should it cut the cake into smaller pieces? And that question isn't only about Japan. It might be about the future of every society. I don't claim to have the answer, but I'm curious. What do you think? Thanks for thinking with me. If you enjoy exploring ideas like this, you might consider subscribing. I'm hoping this channel might slowly gather a small group of curious minds who enjoy thinking about the world together.